Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Well, it's another show with Dan Priest from Priest Insurance on Insurance Talk with Priest Insurance, where each week we talk insurance. It could be automobile insurance, home insurance, maybe changes that are going on in the insurance industry, but it all has to do with Bolivar and Texas. Dan, tell us about your hog. We're late getting recorded because you got a hog in your trap in the backyard, but your house is where?
It's in Lumberton.
In the middle?
Yeah, I have a house in Lumberton that is in the middle of town, and got a hog in the trap.
He came in today, and then all of a sudden he got this alert from, I guess, someone that works for you, and he said, "Look what I've got in the back of my." So anyway, you can see Bolivar Live. Yeah, bacon. Be bacon this weekend. You can see Bolivar Live anytime. And these shows, Dan's shows, every Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. You can see it on our social media channels and on Bolivar Live TV, now on Roku and Amazon Fire. So please go through, download the free channel. Just search out Bolivar Live TV, and also make sure you follow us on YouTube. Between those two, we're going to be doing more shows throughout the week. So, Dan, we've been talking insurance, and you said we're going to take insurance different steps. And last week we talked about coverage as far as if someone was hurt in it.
We were talking about auto policies last week, or beginning to sort of dissect an auto policy and what that means and what you're buying.
All the different steps.
All the different coverages that are in it. And last week we talked about auto insurance, the bodily injury, and the liability section of a policy that you're required to have in the event, by the state of Texas, in the event you cause an accident and someone is hurt as a result of that. This week we're going to focus on another section of the liability section of the policy, which is property damage. That's damage that you cause.
So if I ran into someone's yard and knocked over a tree or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So again, these are the sections of the policy, the auto policy. It's not just one size fits all. There are coverages that you can opt into or opt out of depending on what is required of you, whether it's auto, whether it's liability, uninsured motorist, medical, PIP, comp, collision, and the other coverages that are available. Today, again, we're going to recap from last week. In the bodily injury section, there are different limits that you can buy. You can buy $30,000 per person, $60,000 per accident. Right?
Right.
And that is, you're buying a pot of money, and then there's $50,000, $100,000, $100,000, $300,000, or whatever it may be, $250,000, $500,000, and we'll use you as an example.
Yes.
Right, of what can happen if you don't have the right amount. So today, property damage coverage.
Okay.
So that is the last part of the liability section of your auto policy. So again, you're driving down the road. To borrow the scenario from last week, there were a couple of cars in the accident. You hit one of them, and that caused that car to hit another one. So two cars are down. We're going to assume one of them is a Toyota Celica, Corolla, whichever one it is, and the other one may be simply a Honda Prelude. Both of those cars probably new or $30,000 a piece.
Okay.
And that's not a lot of coverage these days. You know, most cars, I think if you went out and bought a new truck, how much do you think that would be now?
75 or 100,000.
Yeah, they're going to be expensive, or a lot of cars are in the $40,000, $50,000 range. So how does that play out in what you have? So if you remember, again, last week, if you look at your auto policy, you're going to have numbers that look something like this. The first number is 3060, which is what the state requires. $25,000 in property damage is what the minimum the state requires. Could be 50, 150, 100, 300, 100, or so forth. We talked about those first two numbers last week. This week, we're going to just simply talk about that last number, and we'll use the first illustration on there, $25,000. So we hit that Corolla and the Prelude, right? So both of those cars now, maybe it's they're worth $25,000 a piece because they depreciated. So it's $50,000 in total property damage. If you selected this, all you have is $25,000.
So you're on the hook for $25,000.
That is correct. That adds to the limit of bodily injury that you were on the hook for last week.
Right.
The same thing holds true 50, 150, and those numbers look
so
nice.
Until you, on the second one at 50,000, you would have enough to take care of those cars.
In that particular instance.
Or if you were at 100, you could add 2 more cars into the wreck and you'd be okay.
Yeah, and yes, you could. And property damage is not just limited to a car. So you know, if you hit a building with a marquee, you're responsible. That's part of property damage. If you disrupt somebody's culvert, that's property damage.
Knock over an oak tree that's 40 years old.
Yeah, and the cost of restoring that oak tree. That is part of your property damage limit that is out there. So again, when those numbers they look really nice and unilateral with 5,150. You can change that last number up and buy more. If your assets that you need to recover are $100,000, maybe you buy 5,100, 100. Again, the cost of buying the right amount versus what the state requires is a very, very small difference.
So let's take, for instance, that 30, 60, 25 versus the 100, 300, 100. On a person that's 40 years old, 45 years old, how much difference probably is there going to be between that 30, 60, 25 and that 100, 300, 100 with a decent driving record?
$10 a month.
Really?
Yeah. It's to have the right coverage avoids.
So you can get almost 4 times the coverage overall for $120 a year per se.
So, and that's not a definite number, but it's just not a lot of money when
even if it was
out.
$200 a year, it's going to take a long time at $200 a year that you'd say, well, I'm paying in more than what, you know.
Well, yes, and you're going to get back to a point that we pondered on last week. So we all think of auto liability coverage or auto insurance as covering the vehicle that we're driving, right? Oh, I need to get that restored. It's really covering also the assets you have, your earning power, and your future earning power, okay? So the things that you can recover from your car. You can't recover from your garnished wages.
Right.
So we will talk to you in the event that it's something that is a financial issue. We will talk to you about maybe what other coverages can we move around, whether it's moving your deductible from $500 to $750 or $1,000 to help compensate for that $10 a month that it's going to cost. Have the right amount of money. You're buying a pot of money from the insurance company, and the biggest differences and the biggest concerns and problems that we have is just not having the right amount of insurance.
And you can swap things. It's a whole lot easier to pay $1,000 deductible maybe versus than a $500 deductible, but you can add to your coverage with the money you saved. You'll be able to afford that if you're on a tight budget.
Deductibles are never easy. Nobody really wants to pay $500. Nobody really wants to pay $1,000. But if you think about it as a consumer, what we see is people, if you jump back 20 years, 20 years ago, most people had $500 deductibles 20 years ago.
What's a standard deductible probably nowadays?
Most people still carry a $500
deductible.
But we are seeing many people, because the time value of money, what was $500 20 years ago is not $500 today.
Right.
They're adopting a little bit different deductible stance now. There are some auto policies that have a much higher deductible than that, even that's offered. But $500 to $1,000 is probably a reasonable. If you're looking at home, looking at a way to look at your insurance, use deductibles as one way, but make sure you have the right coverage on your auto in the case that you need it for something that has happened to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Well, is that wrapping up this phase? What's the next show we're going to talk about? Is it still about automobile insurance?
We're going to continue on that and pick this back up. We may take a break and come back to maybe home insurance or another aspect of insurance. We're moving into the summer, so maybe talk about toys, and
then we've got before long it'll be that time of year again where we start watching the radars.
Yeah, that's
stuff.
so much fun with you.
Well, like Dan talked about in here, their employees are big on getting you the insurance that you need and also at an affordable price, and working with you on maybe pay a little more deductible or have a higher deductible to lower your premium here, or maybe move this around. And so if you have any questions on automobile insurance or home insurance or anything really insurance related, go to their website, www.priestinsuranceragency.com. They've got an easy way to email. They can call you. You can call them. All their contact information's there. And if you have a home here, don't think you have to go up there. A lot of times they'll come down here, look at your home, they take pictures and can go over your policies. But like we always talk about, that's something that needs to be done at least once a year, whether it's homeowners, boat, business, car, truck, camper and RVs, because you get lost in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and before you know it, you don't have the coverage, or like me, I always have to email in what we've added, for studio equipment or cameras and that. That's something else you want to do, and we talked about that at Christmas time. Covering gifts once you get them to make sure they're covered, and don't leave them in your truck when you're in a parking lot. So we're going to head on out. Dan, thanks for joining us again this morning. Remember, you can see Insurance Talk with Priest Insurance every Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock here on Bolivar Live on our social media channels, and now on Bolivar Live TV on Roku and Amazon Fire. Make sure you go download the app. On the TV, it's free, and you can see us live. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Priest Insurance Agency has been located in the heart of Lumberton, Texas since 2001, providing a consultative approach and educating customers on how their insurance works for them throughout the coastal region of Texas. Priest Insurance specializes in the coastal region of Texas, covering home, auto, business, and recreational insurance. With ties to the coastal communities, Dan Priest has had the sand between his toes since 1972 with a home on Bolivar Peninsula in Galveston County. He survived a storm named Ike, but lost his home. With insurance coverage, his family was able to rebuild following the 2008 storm and continues to make memories beachfront. Priest Insurance specializes in the coastal communities, family dwellings, investment property, and business insurance. They've been there. Whether you're looking for or have a family retreat along the Texas coast, investment property, or a business, Priest Insurance would be honored to work with you and your family to make sure you're covered anytime trouble arises. For more information on Priest Insurance and their contact information, please visit their website at www.priestinsuranceagency.com, or their office is open for phone calls with questions and consultation Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. by calling 409-755-7600. Priest Insurance Agency, working and educating customers, making sure they understand and have the coverage they deserve.